we have Mamata Banerjee, Arvind Kejriwal, who are trying to make inroads in Goa, in a state like Goa, for example. And then we saw other parties also coming in and throwing their hat into the national elections and the national political scene. And the most recent, of course, has been my own state's Chief Minister, Mr. KCR, and he's sort of refashioning his party from TRS to BRS. How do you look at this race within various political parties, some of the smaller parties as well? I mean, who do you think might actually be able to make a difference in that sense?
I think in the next 10 years, nobody can make a significant dent. I mean, it's always too early to predict in politics, but I don't see much happening in the near future. All of these leaders, full of aspiration, are largely in their last stages of their political career, and they would want to create some level of impact in the hope that they could turn out to be the Devegowdas and the Gujrals. That's their best case scenario. That if somehow BJP falls short of the majority mark, they can get every person together, every small or big entity together, and play that unifying force to basically stake a claim for the top post. That's their hope. But if hopes were horses, then wishes were horses. We all know what's going to happen. So I don't see much credibility wise. Aam Aadmi Party is one party which at least has cross state agenda. I don't think Mamata Banerjee or KCR will have, no matter how they try to reinvent themselves, will have an agenda which is going to appeal to the larger sections of the society and to different states cutting across. That's one problem, one structural problem that they have. They will find themselves wrapped around. I think either it could be somebody like Arvind Kejriwal, who would at least want to go in and poke his nose in every state election. And he's free to do that, but he will have that small space which he will keep denting every election. So even if he is able to garner the support of 5 to 6% vote share, that's a good foothold. Good foothold for building the party structure and ensuring that the roots are firmly on the ground in respective states, and the leadership starts getting a space to sort of grow and mature out. So Kejriwal might allow his state units to expand and create some dent, but that will take time.
Right.
It's all going to take at least a 5 to 10 year time horizon.
Right.
Nothing short. So Nitish Kumar, a lot of people are touting him, and he's trying to play interesting politics around caste. He's like, Kurmis are there in every state. What I have to do is to start positioning myself as a Kurmi leader. UP has 10-11% Kurmis. Bihar has 3-4% Kurmis, and then Kurmis are also Patels in the caste structure. So he's like, all the Patels I should appeal to and try to carve out this national leader position for the Kurmis of this country. So that's his wish. At least he wants to start with a significant mass, and based upon that, grow his position. I don't see that these kind of 30-year-old caste politics ideas have any sort of traction in today's India. This is my assertion. You need to have a broad-based agenda. Why Kejriwal, at least he's creating the right noises, is because of the simple fact that he's not touching these caste issues. He's constantly focusing, and in communications also, this is a fine strategy to just pick 2 or 3 agendas and just go carpet bombing on those 3 agendas. That's what Kejriwal does, and he does it pretty effectively. He ensures that he's going to stick to the plan and not deviate even a single bit. So if he has to talk about corruption and education and electricity, he'll just continue doing that. And you look at one of his ministers who tried stepping into the Hindutva-related issues, he was kicked out the next day. And rightfully so, because any dilution in his proposition, he will go into direct turf war with the BJP, which will be fatal for his party. So he's keeping himself focused, which is good. He will grow on these issues which relate with the current generation of voters. And this is the reason, even if he doesn't win seats, those 4 or 5% vote share that he's able to garner is because of this. This is where other leaders like Mamata Banerjee and KCR or even Stalin will not be able to fill the void.
Right. Right.
And for every default, there is a Congress party, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Very interesting, Rajat. And, about Arvind Kejriwal and the Aam Aadmi Party, I think it's very interesting because, like you said, in terms of communication and in terms of also capturing attention of a lot of young people, at least in urban spaces, I think they've had some successes in that. But if one compares them with, let's say, a Congress party, which obviously has a longer history, do you see Kejriwal's politics also having an element of demagoguery, right? Because he seems to be appealing to very narrow and sort of half-informed people or issues, for example, and also has made very problematic statements and aligned his politics in a direction that may not be in the best interest of national security in, for example, states like Punjab, etc. So, do you see that as something that is distinguishing the AAP from the others?
I personally find that wherever the left cabal has been able to find shelter, they have had deep impact on the psyche of those political parties, be it the Congress, be it Aam Aadmi Party. Wherever these international forces, who are largely globalized, have a very globalized view of India also, are not connected with anything to do with our civilizational values. Those people will steer our country's narrative away from what is in our national interest. That's something which you will see repeatedly. I think Aam Aadmi Party, in its formative years, is trying to basically latch on to issues where it can get relatively easy support without giving a sort of vocal nod to certain things. So you will never see Kejriwal saying anything on Khalistan, for instance. But when you're building an organization, you know that there are popular leaders who would have their own views, but you need those supporters to be part of your party so that you can win seats. Otherwise, these idealistic ideas that you have, that I'm going to change the India's education system, all of that will have traction, but only minimal. Beyond that, how do you win seats? And elections are all about winning. So that's where I think Arvind Kejriwal has not been able to tame his leadership, though he's trying to do that so that the focus remains on his core agenda. I will not judge him too soon. We'll have to very carefully. And by the way, this is not the job of the gullible public at large. It is the job of the intelligentsia, the intellectual community, to keep calling him out for anything that he tries to associate with any breaking India forces. It is us who will have to step in with all our might to ensure that he stops. And that's one way. That's number one. Number two is, where I see more problem with Kejriwal's style of politics is the freebie culture. Uh, that is, I have worked in states and I have worked with the state governments. I was with Jharkhand, with Assam, and with Manipur. All these states I've seen. I've also worked in states like Madhya Pradesh, etc. I can tell you that in general, Indian states are bankrupt states. They have very, very little avenues for generating revenues on their own. They are heavily dependent on tax collections of the center, and rightfully the 42% vote share that has to funnel back to the states. They're heavily dependent on that, but there is very little amount of uh, creative thinking in the economic policies of the states to generate more and more revenue. And this is the reason why most of these states are not able to even process salaries of their employees. Then you have closer to the elections, all of these states, They come out with this bumper job offers that we are going to give government jobs and all, without thinking of the long-term economic policy mess that they are going to create. So all in all, on top of that, if for state elections you start promising more and more endless freebies year after year, election after election, where does the state finances end up in? It is, I think it is the job of, again, the informed citizenry of this country to voice what Prime Minister talked about, revenue politics or revenue economics, that this is not sustainable. I mean, our cumulative public debt to GDP ratios are high. It is definitely high. It is not something which is within our comfort zone. And periodically, we see RBI forgiving the loans of the states. But that should not give the states sort of a power to go out and unabatedly try and win elections by baiting the common people. This is the problem with Kejriwal, where he's trying to look at Delhi as the rest of the country. Delhi is a revenue surplus state. So you can do a lot of these experiments in Delhi, free electricity, free water, all of that. But when you take this model into a heavily debt-ridden state like Punjab, it does not work. You will not be able to pay salaries. It is as simple as that. And then people will be on the streets. You will have mayhem everywhere. Does he have a policy response to that? I don't think so. You know, when this question was asked of Mr. Kejriwal, that how are you going to sponsor these freebies that you're talking about? He said, I'm going to stop corruption. And that's the theoretical number that he came up with, that I'm going to generate an additional revenue of 20,000 crores. All that is electioneering related talks. It has zero policy level significance. So individuals like Kejriwal, more than being dangerous, are being foolhardy at this stage, just so that they can cobble up numbers. That experiment, how long it is going to last, I don't know. But at least it has an appeal which cuts across the caste related issues. At least he's given up on that. There is no point harping on it. That much consistency is brought in.
Please remember to subscribe to us and switch on the notifications for this channel. For our other social media links, more content, and to support our work, please visit citti.net. Dhanyavad. Namaskar.